Hey, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Hollywood's Hidden Gems. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I've got my guest for today is one of my co-hosts for Hollywood Boulevard podcast. He's also the producer of that show. Please welcome Alfred Crane. How are you doing, Alfred?
Well, thanks, and y'all, you.
Yeah. So we had some bad news that we have to deliver, which is kind of sad, which is that Blog Talk Radio no longer exists, which means that
Oh,
all of our episodes of Hollywood Boulevard that we did for Blog Talk Radio no longer exists, which kind of sucks. But it is what it is. I didn't think that would happen anytime soon, so
yeah.
I didn't grab them all the episodes off. I wish I did, and I would have re-released them here if I could, but sadly I did not, and I don't think I copied any of them. So sadly, um, but we're here to talk about a new show that's going to be fun. This is Hollywood's Hidden Gems. It's going to be part of Hollywood Wednesdays, where every Wednesday, hopefully, maybe every Wednesday, sometimes maybe not, but we'll have 4 weeks of Hollywood discussion. So we'll start with Hollywood's Hidden Gems, go into Hollywood's Forgotten Hits, go to Hollywood Boulevard podcast, and go into Hollywood Knockbusters. So I guess end it off with bad movies that people love. Uh,
Not Busters?
oh yeah, have I had you
What
on
was
the
that?
show yet? I haven't had you on the show yet, have I?
No.
Yeah, so basically Hollywood Knockbusters is a show where I chatted about movies that bombed in the box office, but people love, you know,
Okay.
stuff like Super Mario Brothers, and whatnot. These are movies that like are a lot of them are like major bombs, like, things like that. But this movie I don't think was a bomb. So we're gonna be talking about The Dream Team, which wasn't a bomb, but it wasn't a hit, I don't think. If I'm correct. It was a budget of, we usually do this at the end of our shows, but we'll do it right now. From a $15 million budget, it made 28 million, which is a modest, you know, return, but was not a hit would be like double the budget, if not more. And it didn't even reach its double the budget. So, that's kind of sad. But this movie, I feel like is a movie that basically doesn't get talked about that much.
Uh-huh.
And it's the Dream Team, starring Michael Keaton, Christopher Lloyd, Peter Boyle, and Stephen First. Four
Boy.
amazing actors, by the way, just together. They're just great. And so, Alfred, when was the first time you saw this movie?
It must have been on video back when when it was released on video. I don't think I went
Yeah.
to see it in the theater.
So you saw this movie in the theater,
I think I
and
saw it from Blockbuster.
okay, you didn't see it in the theater.
No.
No, but you saw it on Blockbuster when you got to
Yeah.
rent it.
Yeah, when we
Wow.
first got it for rental, I think me and my buddy Jason, we used to watch movies all the time.
Yeah. I think I saw this on cable. You know, this used to be a movie that would show up on cable from time to time.
Huh?
I forgot what channel, maybe HBO or one of those things. And I'd only watch HBO during the free watch,
Yeah.
times because my parents wouldn't pay for HBO. Now we pay for HBO, we pay for everything, you know, these days. But yeah, we had that, and it was I think I remember watching it, and as a kid, I don't think I got any of the jokes really. This is more of an adult movie, would you say?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
definitely not.
I mean
It's
it.
definitely young adult, or yeah, I don't want to say 18 plus, but it's like kind of the humor just would escape people. Even though I was saw it when I was just graduating from high school, but I don't think it was too dumb. But it was just kind of just there and highbrow humor movie.
Mm-hmm. and it was made in 1989 or 1988. It was shot, but it came out in 1989. Did you know this came out before Batman? This was made before
No.
Batman, and
Day
and so,
before?
and so it was made before, and it was actually released in some places before Batman, but then in
Wow.
other places it was released after Batman. So Batman really became the movie that put Michael Keaton on the map.
Yeah. Yeah, it was one. I didn't even think of that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I just found that out actually, just like 5 minutes before the show. I was just looking things up and trying to find some cool information about it. You know, like there was a music video for "Hit the Road, Jack," where
Huh?
Peter Boyle and Stephen First appear as their characters. Did you know that?
No.
I think you can find that probably on YouTube. I guarantee you. And then there was a eagle-eyed viewers have spotted visible crew equipment in certain scenes, such as a microphone appearing behind Henry's left arm during the van sequences.
Huh?
Van
Wow.
scene. Yeah. Um, so let's get into it. So
Yeah.
basically the story is about these four guys who, and I love the beginning of the movie because you
Yes.
set up the whole thing where Christopher Lloyd is getting everybody into his group, you know, and you think
Mhm.
he looks like a doctor, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So he gathers everybody up, puts them into a room. You get to meet everybody. Peter Boyle is naked, which
Uh-huh.
I never thought I'd see Peter Boyle naked. So if you really want to see Peter Boyle naked, watch this movie. If you've never thought about that, you're like, hey, I wonder what he looks like naked. You'll see it in this movie. Um, and then was it which surprising? Okay, so maybe 80s things were different because you could not be do nudity at all in a PG-13 movie. That would like automatically give you R rating, I believe.
Well,
And this is a PG-13 movie. It didn't even feel like one. It felt like an rated R film, would you say?
yeah.
Uh, so he gathers everybody up to go to the group, and then you find out that it's not, that he's not the doctor. The doctor does come in,
Right.
and I always recognize I got that guy mixed up. So the doctor, is an incredible actor. But I swear to God, I thought he was the guy from, um, what is it? Die Hard. I thought he was
Hart Bochner.
Ellis. Yeah, Hart Bachner. I thought it was Hart Bachner for a second. I was like,
He kind of had that
oh,
look.
yeah. Well, I think it's because of the beard. They both
Yeah.
have that, but I mean, they're both different personalities. But I thought it was him, and I was like, what the heck?
Right.
Um, that's kind of funny. Then let's see. Why why is that not working? So weird. So all right,
Here's
on to
something. One thing I want to bring up. Back in, I don't notice it so much now because they're probably not writing and pushing movies like they were. But they usually had about two or three movies that were the same kind of they had Volcano and then they're the Tommy Lee Jones Volcano movie and the
yeah, Dante's Peak.
Dante's Peak. And they used to do that a lot. And then for this one in 1989, they had the wrong the Dream Team. 1990 had Loose Cannons with Dan Aykroyd and Gene Hackman.
Hmm.
1991 had Crazy People with the lady from Splash and Dudley Moore, and then in that I missed it, the Awakenings with Robin Williams, and
Yeah.
so it's
So
just amazing. I wonder how if they're if the studios are, or if they you wonder if they plan that stuff. But those are all good movies. But
Well, I think
it's,
sometimes if they see a movie that does marginally well, they'll sort of want something similar to it, all the
mhm,
different studios. Or some studios find out what somebody else is making. So, like in the case of like Volcano and Dante's Peak, both of the studios kind of knew what each other were doing, And so like I think one person got leaked that they were doing a volcano movie, so both did a volcano movie at the
Yeah,
same
like Deep
time.
Deep Impact and Armageddon was the other one of the big ones.
Yeah, I always wonder about that. I wonder if Deep Impact. I think that's the same thing. I think Deep Impact and whichever one was supposed to go first. The funniest one I think, and I've talked about this on other shows, is a movie that was very similar to each other, to but different. Which was Stanley Kubrick's was the Doctor Strangelove and
Oh,
Sidney Lumet's uh Fail Safe movie. Uh
yeah,
both movies are the exact same plot except one's a comedy and one's a drama,
yeah, you're right. Yeah,
and a very stark dark drama. And so Stanley Kubrick said he wanted to go first because he thought that
uh,
nobody would watch comedy after a depressing film
yeah.
gets out. And then so his came out, but then the problem with it was nobody took Failsafe seriously, you know,
Oh,
right? Because all
yeah.
they thought about was Peter Sellers in that movie. So
It's
that's
like
really funny.
once she the guy from Police Academy, Leslie Nielsen, once he went from serious roles from the 50s and 60s to like Police Squad, that was it. He wasn't going back.
Right. In fact, he actually told uh at one point he told the Zucker guys that he was done working with them,
Huh?
because he couldn't do, he didn't want to do any more, parodies, or whatever, because that's all he
I
was doing. Which I guarantee would get like boring after a while,
think
you know?
then he
So I
started
get
doing
it.
then Mr. Magoo and Dracula Dead and Loving It and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Mis
yeah,
Mr. Magoo maybe not have been a parody, but
yeah,
Dracula Dead and Loving It was a parody, so he still continued down that path. I mean, it was
yeah,
what he was good at. Um
yeah. Very
But if you
good.
think about it, you ever watch like Creep Show? He's in Creep Show with
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Tony Danza. Why I say Tony Danza? Who's
Tony from
Ted
too.
Danson. They
Oh yeah,
both have
he's the one who
indie
buried
names.
their heads in the sand.
Yeah,
And then they come bury him in the sand.
yeah, yeah.
Forgot about
So it's
that.
really funny to know that he was in a serious roles at times, and then Airplane kind of put him in non-serious
Yeah.
roles after that. Um, but yeah,
I
he
want my
was
cake.
yeah. Um, but to go back to Dream
Mhm.
Team. By the way, I want to mention this before I forget because I may forget later.
Yeah.
I got very bad memory times at times. I know Stephen First's son. Not personally, like we're not like buddies, or
Uh-huh.
anything, but I've interviewed him. His name's Griff. And so I
Oh.
posted that I was watching Dream Team, and he said, "Great movie, great flick," kind of thing.
Oh.
So I told him, "Oh, your dad was amazing in this movie."
It was
Yeah, so
Stephen First son.
yeah, Stephen First's son. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Griff First. He actually used to work for the asylum
Didn't he
and
they
stuff.
don't they live around here?
No, I think he still lives either he lives in California or lives in Louisiana.
I thought Stephen First was lived around here for a while.
Well, Stephen First no longer alive.
Yeah, I
So
know
I don't
that.
think Griff had moved on a while back because he was living in he was doing the asylum stuff when I think Stephen was still around, still alive. He was doing a lot of the asylum stuff. He did like remember that there was a ripoff of like 10 million
Yeah.
BC. It was like 100 million BC.
Yeah, the Merle and Emmerich one.
And well, no, yeah, but like they ripped that off for the asylum and did
Oh,
it, and it starred, I believe it starred the guy from Michael Gross from Family Ties, if I'm
yeah.
correct. But they did like 100 million BC, which is so funny that like all they did was take like instead of it be like 10 million BC, they're like, let's just put one more O in it, you know, and stuff. Yeah, Michael Gross was in it, and Christopher Atkins and Greg Evigan. Yeah, it's just a silly movie. Silly dinosaur movie, you know.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so let's see. Yeah, I got that. He messaged me, or did message me, he commented on the thing saying great flick, and so I
Oh,
just
today
love.
he did.
It was like a couple days ago,
That's
maybe.
awesome.
It's a couple days ago after I
Wow.
posted it. I didn't tag him or anything. He just saw it on his own.
No.
Yeah. I wasn't going to because I didn't want to and I didn't want to message him or anything, and bother him. He's a director himself, so I don't want to,
Oh,
you know
wow.
what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, he's awesome and he's an actor. He's been in some stuff. Griff. Um, so you should look him up at some point. He's really good. Um, but let's go back to this movie. So we have Michael Keaton. Obviously, as we said, he hadn't reached. I think he had done Beetlejuice already, and stuff, and so made his name on that. But it really he wasn't peak Michael Keaton yet, or anything.
Uh,
And it was nice to see him in this movie. He was really good.
yeah. I think
Um
he had
uh
the. I love the eight. You could tell it's the '80s and '90s bridge. You know, 'cause they got Michael Keaton sporting a mullet,
right.
and they got different. You know, it's just you just sense from a movie you get this feel of when it took place. Like you can early mid '80s, the late '80s and early '90s. Just all have this the way things are and the way things were. No, there
Hmm.
was no cell phones yet. There was
Yeah. I mean, this movie can't be made now.
no.
You would just use a cell phone, right? Like,
To find somebody, yeah,
yeah, you find somebody, you Google people, you could I mean, people had to use maps, they had to use pay phones. I mean, this movie is a time capsule of that time period, for
yeah,
sure.
and cameras and UAVs and
Was that?
cameras and UAVs, and I don't think they would let those people out.
Yeah, it was a little weird because I mean, they did have the discussion, should we let them out, basically.
Yeah,
So at least there was a little bit of a discussion about it, but
yeah.
would
But
they really?
we're not getting into reality. We shouldn't be getting into. It's a movie and it's a comedy and it's like I don't want to ruin it. But yeah, you're right though. I never thought they can't make it today because the technology would mull the plot.
Right. I mean, it's still a great plot. It's like, I wouldn't want them to remake The Burbs. I think they probably are.
No.
I'm sure that's going to be someday.
You
But
still have to see that one.
what?
I haven't seen that yet.
You've never seen The Burbs?
No, I got to do it.
Oh my God. Let me see what it did on the box office, because I don't know if that's which one that would go under. I mean, a lot of these could go under just Hollywood Boulevard podcast.
Yeah.
Right? But no, I'm surprised you've never seen The Burbs. That's a classic.
Well, I want to check it out. Everyone's telling me it's good, and I keep forgetting about it. So, of
So I got to get you on a show for that,
course,
discussing that, because then
down.
you have to watch it. You're kind of you're set up to watch it. I, it was a hit. It was an $18 million budget and almost grossed 50 million. So,
Wow.
yeah, I don't know, and I don't know if it would fit for. Let me ask ChatGPT this. Would The Burbs fit uh fit for Hollywood? Yeah, because you need to go on that show at some point with me
Yeah.
for Hollywood's forgotten hits, because we got plenty of episodes to be able to do. Um oh wow, it says yes, The Burbs is a perfect choice for Hollywood's forgotten hits. While it wasn't a massive success upon release, it has since developed a strong hold and is an underrated comedies. So yeah,
Yeah.
I guess we could do that for the first season of Hollywood's Forgotten Hits. I'll get you on that one too. But
Sure.
yeah, if you're interested in doing The Burbs at some point, you know, um, so that you can watch it and you can tell people, yeah, I actually saw it. So I think of all that, and that's what surprises me, because that's a movie that I feel like you would have seen. You know, I don't know why you just hadn't, when you were younger. You know. But
Yeah.
but like it's one of those things where it'd be hard to remake it because in that situation they're all like neighbors who hang out and who know everything about each other. Nowadays neighbors don't even I barely ever talk to my neighbors, you know. Like
Uh-huh.
I don't know what it's like in other places, but like in my town, what are you doing, dog? My dog is playing around with my clothes. Um, sorry, distracted here.
Right.
Um, but yeah, just movies like this couldn't get made. There's a lot of movies in the 80s that just are quintessential 80s movies. I always bring up was it sweet the 16
16 candles.
16 Candles. You can't make that movie today. Everybody's got Facebook, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
everybody knows your birthday and everybody says at least you get at least a whole bunch of people you don't know. I mean, that would be what you'd have to do for 16 candles. You'd have to be where she has it and everybody that she doesn't care about really
Right.
says happy birthday, but she doesn't get it from the actual people that care about her, you know? Like I mean, that's the only way you could remake it today because really, I mean, and those movies were so well done because we didn't have the internet, because we didn't have cell phones and Facebook and whatnot, you know? So, but once again, if they remade the Dream Team, that guy would, well, and were they really that crazy, honestly? You know, Michael Keaton didn't seem that crazy. He just seemed like he was a troublemaker, you know?
Oh, he did. Yeah.
Yeah. Christopher Lloyd just seemed to like, I don't know, think he was a doctor for some reason, but he
Mhm.
wasn't. He was a I don't know, what was he before he was claimed he was a doctor? Um what was Christopher Lloyd? Yeah. Do you know what Christopher Lloyd was? Because he
No, I
was a
can't
father.
remember.
He was a
Yeah, he
father.
was. Yeah. He did
Like,
one of those. Gosh,
hmm? What was
I
that?
think. I'm trying to think. Let me look it up, see if I can figure it out. Well, unless we can do that later. I don't remember what it was. Oh gosh.
Yeah, that's okay. Let's see. What was come on. In the Dream Team, Christopher Lloyd's character, Henry Sikorsky, was a copy editor. That's right.
That's right.
For a major newspaper before his mental breakdown. His obsessive compulsive tendencies and need for order likely contributed to his delusion that he is a doctor, and he constantly tried to diagnose and treat people throughout the film.
Did the Fisher
What what
thing come out?
what
Go ahead.
was Peter Boyle?
He was that business, the book guy, or the businessman in that company.
Advertising executive.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, he was a successful advertising executive. I guess he had like a major breakdown through like stress and other stuff and everything, and then he started thinking he was Jesus. He was the okay, so he's the one I think is should have been in the, should have been in the loony bin for sure. He was. Is that okay to say these days? Am I
What?
am I allowed to call them loony bins, or is that
You
like
remember?
not PC?
I don't know.
Like,
Choose
is
your
that
words
not
carefully.
what?
Choose your words carefully.
Yeah. Well, I didn't mean like
I'm
that's
just
just
kidding.
what
I know.
is.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I don't know. I think even people who are in those things. We have Eastern State here in Williamsburg, and I see a lot of patients that come out and come visit and stuff, and they're really cool. I mean, a lot of them have a really big sense of humor about it, you know. I think you sort of have to in a way. Mm. But yeah, after his breakdown, Peter Boyle's character, Jack McDermott, develops a delusion that he is Jesus Christ, often quoting scripture, blessing people, and making grand religious proclamation. I will say that scene inside the church was the best scene in the movie, or one of the best scenes in the movie. Just him going and he's praising the Lord and he's doing all that stuff and then getting naked.
Right.
I don't know what his nakedness and his praising of the Lord, like where that kind of, both stemmed from, you know? But that was sort of funny. I mean,
It
that was
was.
a great scene. What was your favorite scene in the movie?
Oh gosh. You're gonna answer that. There's several. Oh gosh. I
Um,
could see first was driving the truck around.
you liked them driving? Oh, when Stephen first was driving?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was
Yeah,
funny.
he seemed to enjoy it, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, he was like the getaway driver.
Yes.
Yeah, So that was fun. Um, I also liked Michael Keaton, in the restaurant scene
Yeah.
where he attacks the guy that's being mean to Riley, but we don't know who Riley is. We just think she's a waitress, at first, right?
Yeah.
And then and then he like, he's he says he's a, an escaped mental patient looking, who's not afraid to get violent or whatever, to that guy. And so the guy writes out the check to the, or whatever,
Yeah.
pays the waitress. And so she goes out and talks to him and they kiss. And I'm like, whoa, that's a hell of a
Yeah.
thank you. And you come to find out that they were boyfriend and girlfriend up until, I guess, until he went to the mental asylum, and then she started dating, schmucky guy, you know.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I I didn't hate him. I just thought, like, I mean, if you all of a sudden had four mental patients like coming to your house, you know,
Mhm.
you'd probably want to call cops too, even, especially if they're wanted for attempted murder,
Yeah.
which we didn't even get to all that. We didn't even get to like how all that even happened, which was uh all started from them going on their trip to they got to take a field trip to go to the Yankee Stadium and see the
Yep.
game, which I mean that's a hell of a field trip, man. Especially to would
Yes.
that not be today because prices for tickets like that are not, cheap.
No.
I
But
don't think that
they weren't doing too good back then.
what?
They weren't doing too good back then, I don't think.
Yeah, they weren't. I don't think they were the Yankees that we all know and love now. But or well, the people do love and know now. Um, but so they're in the they're going on their way and um Steven first character needed to go to the bathroom, and the guy says, there's not a working bathroom here, so you need to go in the alley. Which I'm like, my first thought was, no, he doesn't need to go to alley. Just wait a couple minutes and find another bathroom.
Mhm.
Like, why, but they need to go to the alley so that all of this whole story could happen, right?
Mhm.
You know? But like my brain was going, um, I would never go in an alley in New York. What are you
Oh,
like?
you crazy?
Yeah, like that's where all the thugs usually. Like I watch enough movies about New York and stuff. That's where all the thugs hang out. You know. And
When did
so
the Fisher King?
what?
When did the Fisher King come out?
The
Was
Fisher
it
King? I
91
think
also?
91.
It's
I'm
another movie kind of fits all that.
Yeah, it was another movie that was like set in New York, right? And
You look with a person who was unhinged a bit.
yep, it's 91. Um, yeah, where was it Robin Williams is a has like a had a breakdown or whatever and thought he was in this imaginary crazy world, and
Uh-huh.
everything. And he was just in New York. The great movie, great movie.
Yeah.
Um, we may do it someday for Criterion Watch. because it's a
That'd
Criterion
be a good one
film.
to talk about. I haven't seen that in years. I'd like to see that
I think
again.
you, yeah, I think if I get that, I'll have you on for that one. And I
Cool.
bet I don't know how Paul feels about that, but if he wants to do it, I'm sure he'll do it with us. If not, we'll do it alone. We've done Criterion Watch episodes alone. Like remember when we did Foreign Correspondent together?
No, we didn't do that.
What?
I don't think I did one of those yet with you.
I I think you did. Maybe that was Joe.
Probably Joe.
No, no, we did Blood Simple. That was
Oh yeah,
Criterion
yeah, that's
Watch.
right.
So
That's
we did
right.
Blood Simple. I thought we didn't know. No, you're right. Joe and I did Foreign Correspondent. But yeah, no, we did that. Wow. So is that the only Criterion Watch you've done?
Yep.
Jeez, we gotta get you on more of these shows, bro.
Yeah. I'm
Oh,
retired, so I can do most.
yeah. Uh, I don't see why I can't get you on more. I mean, we do Ball Hollywood Boulevard podcast there, hopefully once a month, but anyway, so to go back to it, was it the guy, the doctor witnesses a murder he's not supposed to witness, by two cops. So he gets knocked out, goes to gets the cops, whatever, the ambulance comes, gets him away. And those two guys are coming at and trying to find him, and whatnot, so that they can kill him, so they can silence him, so he doesn't say who they are or whatever. And
Yeah, this was funny.
meanwhile,
This was the slapstick really turned up, and it was really good.
had
It
you
was
seen
kind of
it?
rough.
Like, so you hadn't seen it since you saw it from the Blockbuster?
I've probably seen once or twice around. It's been 30 years. I mean, I haven't been back to it though. Some movies I don't cycle back to, and other ones I do all the time. So
Well, was this like, did you have a DVD or VHS? Like, how did you watch this?
VHS.
Wow. So you were just like, one day I'm gonna watch this?
Oh, we would go to Blackbusters to try to figure out to watch. I had like 40 channels for cable and
Uh,
33 or 40 channels. So they weren't on movie channels, and so we go, hey, let's go to Blockbuster see what they have out. And
nope.
so we saw Dream Team, and oh, let's try that one.
Nope.
So that's how we discovered Reservoir Dogs. We are like, oh, what's this? Well, at the end of it, we're like, we just saw something brilliant.
Right. Like, I feel like that's missing from today's world right now.
Uh
You
huh.
know? Like like being able to discover things that you never thought you'd discover, you know, because the internet already ruins all of that, right?
Uh
So
huh.
like my example on that is like if there's a new Tarantino movie, we'll know about it like, a year before it happens. You know,
Yeah.
he'll announce it and eventually it'll come out and like, you know, there's no surprise,
All
you
right.
know? And unless it's like literally a movie that like nobody knew was gonna whatever, and all of a sudden it's a surprise hit for everybody. But
Yeah.
like that's very few and far between. You usually know about the movie way before then. And so it's sort of bummer, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like New York City. It just felt you could tell movies made in New York in that time period, and everything. Just I think is just growing up in that time period is very nostalgic, but it's also just like you said, it's a time capsule.
Exactly.
And I think it was in my mind too, because when you said lost classics, I mean, it got lost in my head. I mean, I just moved on to other things, and then, you don't think
Hmm.
about things for a while, and movies go from
And I picked it for Hidden Gems because it's a movie like
yeah,
a lot of people haven't even seen, you know? Like I've talked to a lot of people and they're like, I've never heard of that movie, you know? I'm like, really? Like the Dream Team, like with Michael Keaton, you've never heard of it? And no, I mean, there's just a lot of movies that people just either never heard of or like, or never seen. So it's weird. Um, I mean, that's why I started these podcasts, so that I can bring awareness back to them, you know, or that people can go, oh, I, I saw that, this is amazing. When I brought up Dream Team, people are like, "Oh my God, I love that movie." So there are people who've seen it, but like those are like my friends, who have the same kind of thing as me, you know, or whatever, right?
You know, I
So,
mean, it's like yeah, I think it was, and then it'll come out on HBO, and just back then movies didn't have the they didn't come on VHS right away, maybe a year or
hmm
something. Now it's like it got done in 8 weeks.
yeah,
Holy
not
cow!
even. It's like sometimes it's like a month, and then you can't find. Like I tried looking for Companion, after a month, and it was gone. It was out of my Regal. Um, I just don't understand this idea of just, you know, getting rid of things so quickly. You know, kind of sucks. But I mean, we kind of live in a time where they want to get everything on digital, on video, on streaming, because, that's where more, money is. And I feel like that's where they think more people are, these days. People aren't going to the theaters. They're watching it at home. So, but maybe if people go to the theater, if they didn't, if the studios didn't put it on streaming so quickly, you know, I
Yeah,
I, I have a feeling that if they really wanted to, if they really want to do that, they would just get rid of that. They would say, all right, well, it's going to take about 6 months for them to get onto streaming, so let's milk it in the theater for as long as we can.
right.
you know. And I bet more people go to the theater then, you know. I mean, just my opinion. Um, but anyway, to go back to this, it was really nice to see New York in 1980s, and they mentioned the Twin Towers, which I thought
Yeah,
was so weird
it
now.
is.
It's
When
so
you see
weird.
those, it's like, well, they're there.
Yeah. Well, and I hate when people try to get rid of stuff like that. They like cut things or
Oh yeah,
they, do that because they
edited
aren't
it
there
out.
anymore. They edit it out. Like, why would you do that? That's a part of, cinema history, in a way. It's part of history, period. Just because it doesn't exist now like it did then, isn't this, like I don't get that. But I do love that Michael Keaton tried to say that his character tried to say that he helped build it. He was the one who came
Yeah,
up with the idea of
yeah,
putting another tower. Thought that
yeah.
was very cute and funny. I I I enjoy this movie because a lot of these movies in the 80s and older just put me in a mood where I'm just in a good mood. They're just feel good
Yeah, they do,
films.
don't they?
Right? Like, I mean, they're just like, okay, so for Hollywood Boulevard, you had me watch that movie with Billy Crystal and
Running scared.
yeah, Running Scared. And that put me in a good mood. It's a
Yeah,
cop movie, but like it was funny and silly and had good moments and like
good
it just
cast.
great cast, yeah, everything. It was just fun. I enjoyed it. And I enjoy going back to this time period. Now, my time period that really puts me in enjoyment is 90s, but that's just because it's nostalgia for me as a kid growing up,
Yeah,
because I'm a little younger than you, and so my high school years were 90s, and stuff and whatnot, and my middle school years were 90s. So those were the times that I remember watching movies and stuff and going to the movies and things like that. And so those are the things that make me feel good. When I watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 2 or something, you know what I mean? Like I feel good inside, and everything. When I watch an 80s movie like this, I'm like, man, I mean, this has rewatchability and not just for like just for me, but I would like recommend it to other people. And I would watch this with somebody who had never seen it.
yeah. I looked. This is a channel for people aren't probably aware of these because I mean, you never know, say print or out of print. You know, we search for movies now. You don't kind of get that browsing finds. That's pretty much vertical or horizontal. You're just targeting on exactly what you need. But
Mm-hmm.
back then you just spend an hour looking at Blockbuster for something, and you go, "Oh, what's this one?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely has a different feel back that like, I remember because I used to work at movie scene, but before I worked there, where when it was back when it was video update, I would go there all the time and I would just get lost in the sea of movies. I didn't know what to pick, you know? So I had to like, what was I in the mood for? Was I in the mood for something I'd already seen? Or was I
Right?
in the mood to try something new and different that might be good? I love Tuesdays. Tuesdays, I don't know if you remember that for movie scene, but that was like Tuesdays, I think were like 99 cents or something, for old releases you know, um, and whatnot. So I could rent like 5 movies, but you only had like 5 days to watch them or something,
Right.
or whatever. So like you really had to like what you had to binge them, at your
Yeah.
house and stuff. That was the original binging, renting movies and watching them really quickly because you had a time limit, you know. But I love that. Like that was nowadays. And when I lived in California and when I lived in LA, I lived in Van Nuys, and there was at that time a in 2020 there was a video store that was still active, you know.
Wow.
Even I tried to get a job there, but they weren't hiring, sadly. But would have loved to work at a video store again. Like that would have been fun, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
As it was probably one of my favorite. I tried to get a job at Blockbuster and never got it. They were always already staffed, you know. But I loved working, I l- I love this. Like this to me was some of the best times of my life, was
Yeah.
renting and watching movies and it felt like you were on an adventure. You didn't know what you were getting. It's like a life was like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're gonna
Right.
get, you know.
That's
You really
right.
didn't. Now to go back to this movie, so some of the other really good scenes in this flick, I mean, honestly, almost every scene was good in this flick. Like,
Yeah.
it was not slow. Everything felt like there was a point to it, you
Hmm.
know. Um, you got to Stephen First's character, didn't talk at first. He only said like lines from TV shows stuff, like the news, news at 11, you know,
It's
and
almost
stuff.
like a bumblebee.
Yeah, those things. And I loved it. Yeah, because he loved the baseball and stuff.
Yeah.
And kind of
It's
sad
funny
that,
because they're guardian of their therapist. Like he got beat over the head, and then he didn't have him, and then they took him away, and then oh, because he was trying to find the bathroom, and
yep,
then that's right.
yep, and you got to take it away. And then, poor Stephen First didn't know, like, he can't talk, you know. I think even Michael Keaton's character was like, "Oh, this is like Lassie, like what it would, Lassie, is there a girl by the well?" That kind of thing. I thought that was kind of cute. Uh, I don't know. I felt like this movie had so many good parts to it. Uh, not just the cast, just everything. The music was great. What did you think of the music?
I loved it.
Yeah. The score was great, but also just when I posted that I was watching that, somebody said, "Hit the road, Jack." And so obviously
Yeah,
that was one of the most famous scenes in the movie is them listening in the car to Hit the Road, Jack, and then sing into it, you know, or whatever. I thought that was cute. Um,
oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I loved it.
and then toward the end, it kind of like it looked like it was gonna get dark. It had some, it had the guy from the Warriors in it. God, what's his name? My brain is
Michael Beck? No.
James Remar.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was Swan, I think, was his name
Yeah.
in the Warriors. He's one of the he's one of the Warriors. I loved him. He was my favorite character of the Warriors, you know.
Uh-huh.
And this he was like every other cop character thing. I just thought he was sort of funny because like he was dangerous, but like made mess ups, and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but I really like James Remar. Thought he was a blast in this. Actually Ajax, not Swan, Ajax. Um, that was his character's name in Warriors. Just
I
saw
don't remember this
also
guy.
what
I don't remember this guy in the Warriors. I gotta look him up.
you don't remember the Warriors?
I remember the Warriors. I don't remember him. Boy, I'm so young
No, he
back
was the
then.
one. He was the one who had the baseball bat and told him he was gonna pick that baseball bat and turn that guy into a popsicle. That was like my favorite line in
Okay,
the whole
yeah. Oh,
movie.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's the one who got like he got busted because he was hitting on the girl and then kind of almost like molesting her, or no, not almost, but he was like molesting her in the park, and stuff. And then the girl turned out to be a cop and handcuffed him, and stuff.
Oh, okay, I remember him. Yeah, yeah, I remember that.
That movie's going on Film Freaks at some point. Paul and I have talked about it, and that's definitely one of those. And I got it from Arrow, you know. We gotta get you back on Film Freaks too, man. Um, you
Yeah,
know, you
definitely.
yeah, that was one. I know it's harder to get you out in public. You can do things through Zoom a lot easier. You
Well,
know,
the nights are a challenge, but the days are better.
yeah. Well, I'm glad you're doing good today. It sounds like
Yeah, I'm having a pretty good day today.
good. Um, yeah. So. Uh, I don't know. I hadn't seen this movie since I was a kid, right? So I didn't remember. I didn't really even know anything. Like I didn't know the hit the road Jack. I didn't remember anything from the movie, you know. And um, I'm glad I didn't because it was almost like watching it fresh in my
Yeah,
head, you know, and seeing all the silliness and everything kind of come together. It was just so much fun.
it was
Um,
great. I mean, it's just, it's hard to find a movie like this nowadays.
and it was funny because we didn't plan this. Like, I had planned that I was gonna do this, and I wasn't sure who I was gonna get. And then you had said on Facebook, I believe, that you watched Dream Team or something,
Uh-huh.
you know. And I was like, oh, let me ask him if he wants to do our show. And then you're like, hey, I just watched that. And I was like, yeah, I knew that. So I knew like, and so I'm doing this for this one. The next episode for coming up is like the Hollywood's Forgotten Hits.
Uh-huh.
And that's gonna be Joe and I talking about that movie Dave from the 90s. The Kevin Kline being
Oh, yeah,
becoming the president, you know?
yeah.
Uh, and so like it's funny because yeah, a lot of these movies are sort of not talked about these days. Like nobody talks about the Dream Team. They should, you know? But like yeah, nobody really does, you know? Do you agree?
I agree. It's like not the latest. It feels like a cool thing.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I just want
It
more
is slow
people.
pacing. It's
What was
not
that?
slow pacing, but it was like it was good stories come from slow pacing.
Did you think it had slow pacing?
Yeah, so I didn't think it was like like action packed, but I thought it was like the movie. I think like for today's audience, it would be too slow.
Yeah, you know what? You might be right. A lot of people might be kind of bored by it after a little bit, but I wasn't, and I have ADHD,
No,
so I'm surprised. I mean, I wasn't. If I were watching this on Tubi by myself, I might get kind of, like that, but like watching it on my Blu-ray, because I bought a Blu-ray of it, by the way. It is on Blu-ray, you know. And I had to buy that because, I gotta. And unfortunately, it does not have anything. Like I think it might have a theatrical trailer. That's it. No special features.
Right.
I
This
think
is before the thinking of all that stuff, I think.
what
I think this is before they're thinking about all that stuff. I think if you try to get it back together now, I think it's with Michael Keaton and the other guy, Hart Bachner are alive.
Christopher Lloyd's alive.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, so they could do those two guys, but I don't think they'd ever make a Dream Team 2. I mean,
No.
it's too for first of all, it's too long, it's too far. So they
Yeah.
would just do a remake. And once
Yeah.
again, they can't do a remake.
No.
I mean, how they would literally have
They'd have to
to
set it
figure
back in
out
time.
what
They'd have to set it back in time.
right or something or whatever because there's just no way you could do it now. Like as discussed, you could not make a what was it you couldn't do it. It'd be there'd be no there'd be nothing, you know. Like there'd be no way. Um but then again, I mean that would be sort of fun to figure out is like how could you make it where I mean I guess you'd have to make it where they literally do escape, you know, right? And stuff. And that, you know what I mean? Like because
Yeah.
nobody would I don't even think people believe that they would be allowed to go on a field trip.
Yeah.
I don't think they believe that. So like I think today's audience would want it to be and who would it be? Like Seth Rogen? Seth
Yeah.
Rogen, Paul Rudd. Like that would be the new dream team, you know? Um, but I'm always kind of like I always like to think like would what would this movie be like if it got remade, and stuff. Everybody hates remakes these days. Everybody,
Yeah.
you know, and it kind of pisses me off because I like them.
The novelty wore off in a lot of movies when they kept remaking them or reimagining or just
Yeah, I
you
mean,
shit.
I agree. I agree, but I don't know. I enjoy it. I'm a big fan of you know, I'm a big fan of this these type of movies and I would like to see stuff like this get made. Like could you ever make Splash? Could you ever remake Splash? Where a guy falls in love with a mermaid, you know, like that. I mean, I guess that's a little mermaid too, you know, but
Yeah. This is
it's
Flash in the theater.
I'm not surprised. That's also another I don't know if that's gonna be on I think that's gonna be on Hidden Gems at some point. Just because
Uh,
I don't know if it did well in the box office. I don't think it bombed though. Um, but that's another one I want to do for one of the shows because nobody talks about it. Like, not many people talk about it, you know?
uh,
Um, I mean, a lot of these films I feel like sort of get forgotten, you know? And oh, that's
yeah.
definitely a forgotten hit because it was $11 million budget and made $69 million.
This one did?
No, a Splash.
Oh.
So it was a Splash hit. Um,
That's
you know,
good. I like that one. That's good.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'll be
Oh.
here all day. Make sure to tip your waitress.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, it was the dr-
Speaking of lost classics, my last thing my buddy and I watched one called The Big Bus in
the
the
big
late
bus.
'70s. It's like this big bus. It's like a kind of riff on like airplane and the train movie, except it's a big bus with jet engines on it. It goes supersonic on the highways.
I
It's
had
a
never heard
comedy
of it.
too. I
Oh
hadn't
my
either, and then all of a sudden it started to
God.
pop up on the.
It
But
does
if you
look
want to
like
look
it
at
looks
those,
like
look that
every
one.
other every other disaster movie poster. Like
Uh-huh.
Earthquake and yeah, you said the airport, movie or whatever. But whoa, it's got Joseph Bologna,
Yeah.
Stockard Channing, John Beck, I don't know that name, but Ned Beatty, Jose Ferrer, Ruth Gordon, Harold
Yeah.
Gould, Larry Hagman, Sally Kellerman, Richard Mulligan, and Lynn Redgrave.
It's great. It was just such a silly movie.
Where did you see it?
It's you can rent it on YouTube or I rented it from Prime.
What made you decide to pick that movie?
I wanted to watch something funny, so I just said funny movies on Prime, and that's what came up
Okay,
a year or two ago. I really want to watch something funny.
that's interesting. Yeah, that's definitely interesting. I can't wait to hear more about it. I can't wait to hear I need to watch more of those movies. I need to watch more of the 70s disaster flicks. I was actually gonna do a whole podcast that would be just like one season, and just do all the different you know, whatever disaster movies, including like Earthquake, but the Poseidon Adventure, Towering
Yeah,
Inferno, and
they had Gene Hackman in it.
Roller Coaster, you know, that
The
stuff.
Fox Side Adventure had Gene Hackman in it, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, that would be a great thing to discuss now. Unfortunately, he's passed.
Yeah, that was terrible. I still don't know what happened, but
I
that's
I
what,
don't think we'll know anything for like a couple more months or something,
yeah,
and then more information will start getting revealed. I mean, there's just lots of weird shit with that. I don't know.
yeah,
Somebody said he was like mummified or
yeah.
something
It's too. It is. I've seen it for like
bizarre.
2 weeks.
Um, there's like some bizarre kind of shit. Like, who would want to kill a 95-year-old man like
Yeah,
that? Like, um, but whatever, not my problem.
yeah,
I mean, it is my problem because we're not going to be able to get any more,
uh,
Gene Hackman movies. But I think he had retired. I think he was already
yeah.
retired and stuff, and just trying to live his life, man. That's so messed up. He probably had at least 5 more years in him.
Uh-huh.
Could have, you know. Nowadays everybody's living longer, you know. Um, but yes, we mentioned before Peter Boyle is no longer with us, and Stephen First is no longer with us, and so the only people left right now are Christopher Lloyd, Michael Keaton, and the Doctor, I believe, is still alive. You know, I'm gonna get his name real quick because I don't want to keep just calling him the Doctor. Is
Yeah, Doctor Who.
Yeah, it was Dr. Weitzman, and he's Dennis Boost.
Bogdanovich.
No, it's Dennis Boost Sikaris. I don't know how you say that name, but he's been in stuff like Better Call Saul. You know, batteries included, not included, batteries not
That was a
included.
good movie. That's I forgot one there.
Yeah, Sugar and Pinball, the man who saved Mr. Sharp. I don't know
Huh.
that one. Or saved the man who saved the game. I don't know who. What is that? So is that about? Oh, okay. The story of Roger Sharp, the young Midwesterner who overturned New York City's 35-year-old ban on pinball machines.
Oh,
Interesting. That's crazy. I want to see that. That sounds good. It's on Hulu. How many streaming sites do you have?
um, Prime, Netflix, um, Tubi,
Well,
YouTube,
yeah, Tubi
Tubi.
and YouTube are, you can do those are free, you know. You don't actually pay for the YouTube, do you?
Yeah, I do because I don't like the ads.
Oh, Jesus. The ads are easy. Usually you have to only last like 5 minutes or 5 seconds, and then
I
you can
don't like
just.
that. I don't like. I don't like. $15 a month is worth my patience.
All right. Not mine, man. Um, I already paid way too much. I pay for like Paramount Plus and Peacock and Disney Plus and all the pluses, you know. So and we have Max at the house. So I mean, There's tons of Netflix, all of it. So there's just way
Yeah, it's like you could.
too much
Yeah,
content.
it is. Too many choices.
I know. Well, I mean, like today I was watching Disney Plus because I'm getting ready for Daredevil, and I was watching the
Oh, the new series coming out
yeah, it's coming out tomorrow.
on what? Disney?
Yeah, on Disney Plus. It's
Well, I
Daredevil
didn't
Born
know that.
Again. Yeah, Daredevil
Awesome.
Born Again, and it's back with Charlie Cox and the original gang is back
Great.
from Netflix. So I'm excited.
Oh,
And Charlie Cox showed up on your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man show that they released, the cartoon that they
yeah.
did, which I highly, highly recommend anybody watching,
Okay.
especially if you're a Spider-Man fan. They have all it's like I mentioned it on Facebook. It's like it's like the origin stories of every villain you know, from the things. I mean, Scorpion and well, they have Norman Osborn, but I don't think he's going to become the Green Goblin anytime soon. Um, but like, yeah, I mean, it's an amazing show, and Charlie Cox did Daredevil's voice and that, so I
Oh,
thought that was really cool, especially since it didn't seem to be tied to the MCU necessarily.
all right.
You know, it's probably in another multiverse or something, from it. But anywho, so I guess final verdict of the Dream Team. We talked a good amount about this, but what is so you love this movie. You thought it was great. And I'm glad that we both sort of picked it on our own, you know? Um, let's see here. I want to mention a couple things. Home video and cable reruns made it a fan favorite, you know, just
Hold
like
on.
you picked it up like that. Oh wait, no, that was the Burbs. That was the Burbs. Sorry, my bad. But I bet that was also this way. I think a lot of people did pick it up on VHS and stuff. Um, the film debuted at number 2 at the U.S. box office, earning $5.7 million on its opening weekend.
Oh,
It's pretty good.
yeah, it is.
Um, especially back then, you know. Reviews were mixed, some critics appreciating the cast performance, but others pointing out the film's formulaic approach. It filmed that formula to me. I don't know. Maybe it was. While not a massive hit, the Dream Team has maintained a cult following, appreciated for its unique premise and the chemistry between its lead actors. By highlighting these facets, the segment offer viewers a comprehensive look at why the Dream Team deserves recognition as a hidden gem in Hollywood's comedy genre. So this was I think this was a hidden gem, you know? What do you say?
Huh?
Do you say this movie Dream Team was a hidden gem?
Yeah, I would definitely say it's a hidden gem.
It's so weird to say that. Like, it's so weird when I'm picking the movies, and after it's over, I'll tell you the other ones I have for the season planned out. But
I like
what
forgotten gems or something.
yeah, well, it's a hidden one too. I feel like so many people, as I've said, have said, I've never heard of that movie, you know?
Yeah,
And I'm like, really? I mean, especially even people like my age and your age,
right.
like some people just never watched it when they were younger and stuff. And so I always like to find those movies that, maybe you and I have seen, but we haven't seen in years, and it's so much fun to go back and rewatch it.
Right.
I actually do a series on Blu-ray Hunter, where I do a rewatch and review,
Uh-huh.
you know. This month's rewatch and review was what was it? Um oh, it's the Chocolate War.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I had
That's
not
a good
seen that
one.
movie in forever, but I loved it. I really enjoyed
Yeah.
it. It's a great movie. So, if you guys ever want to see that movie, check it out. It's on MVD. I wish somebody like a big company would come in and because I don't think Universal will ever do like a 4K of the Dream Team, but I think a boutique label should. because like Kino Lorber, I think Kino
Uh-huh.
Lorber would love this movie,
Yeah.
and take care of it and make, like I would love commentary, even if it's like a film historian talking
Uh-huh.
about how historical this movie is.
Yeah.
Another reason why I want to put it on a podcast, because maybe people will find it and discover and talk about it,
Yeah.
and stuff and get it out like more, you know.
Exactly.
That's what we need these days. We need people to discover these films from the 80s and 90s that just people, or even 70s, that people just don't talk about. Like you talking about that big bus. Never heard
Yeah.
of it, but now I want to, you know.
Uh-huh.
I might see if it's on Blu-ray or something or whatnot.
Oh.
You don't think so?
I was coughing. Oh,
But no, but do you
it should be. I'm not sure, but check it
yeah,
out.
yeah. Have to yeah, I'd have to check that. Actually, it is on Blu-ray.
Oh, there
From
you go.
Kino. From Kino, the company I just mentioned
Right, there
to do
you go.
Dream Team. That's kind of perfect. Yeah. I would like to check that out and buy it at some point.
Yeah, I think you'll like it.
Yeah. Well, I like disaster movies. I think they're fun, especially ones where they get big cast named people,
Yeah.
in it or whatever. I find that to be fascinating. That I'm like, why don't they do that now?
All
You know,
right.
there hasn't been a really big disaster movie that had, a huge cast like this. That should come back. I would write that. I would be glad to write a, earthquake style movie or whatever.
Yeah.
Those would be fun. All right, well, I guess we about wrapped it up.
All right.
So you would definitely recommend this movie to somebody who's never
Heck yeah, I
seen
would
it.
definitely recommend it.
So, I don't know where you can watch it other than I bought it and he had a VHS of it. So, um, I
I have a DVD of it.
you do have a DVD of it too.
Yeah. I
Um,
have a VHS. I originally saw it on VHS.
oh,
I have a
okay. So
DVD
you
now.
watched it
Yeah.
on the DVD
Yeah.
of yours. Okay. I thought
But
you
when I
had
first
said
saw it, it
you.
was on VHS.
Oh, there you go. So it is available on DVD, on Blu-ray. You can buy it on Blu-ray. I got it on eBay.
Oh,
So it was only like $10 or something.
wow.
So well worth it. That big bus movie I found on eBay for $18. So
Wow.
even cheaper or even more expensive to watch the big bus movie. But this version of the Dream Team, I mean, just happy it is available. People can watch it. But you can also watch it on, I'm sure, on like YouTube. You can rent it. YouTube, you can rent it on Amazon. So check it out. If you haven't seen it, you know, definitely go watch it. So until then, everybody, I'll be back next month with a brand new episode and probably a brand new guest. But I really appreciate Alfred coming out here for this, doing this.
Steve, thanks for
You
having
know,
me.
yes, thank you. And everybody else, join us next month for a brand new episode. Until then, everybody, have a good one.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye.